But I love the deep sea.
I love the deep sea. And
Got
as
the
we're
Cameron
talking
over here.
summer watches, this is always my favorite. I mean, it's huge and it's big and it's sporty, but it's just, it feels good on the wrist.
I'd love to be able to wear one.
So would I. That's
always
my
had
feeling
it.
all the time when I see a deep sea.
Yeah. You know, I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but I feels comfortable on me.
Yeah, body-wise, you're very like disproportionate. Like big
Yes.
hands, big wrist, but then just very tiny from there.
It happens to all of us. But no, it is a great summer watch. I mean, I wear the GMT more, but the deep sea to me is just like, when I'm hanging out in the pool with the deep sea on, I feel like I can do anything.
You might be able to go to the deep end.
And I don't very often, to be honest with you, but it could, yes. They will find me at 12,000 feet someday with the watch on. But
I love that.
I know. I hate to go underwater, and that's the funny thing.
Do you take the watch in the water?
Always. I never take my watches off.
I think it's really cool when you can own a watch like that, and then also when you're actually using it, wearing it in the water, wearing it in the ocean. I think that you almost have like two subset of people now, like those that are buying a watch and actually want to use it, and then those that buy a watch and they take it off and they wrap it in the towel a couple times and
I hate
put it in
those
their
people.
backpack.
I really do.
I'm one of those people.
I know you are.
You
But
also
I know,
destroy your
I wear
watches,
certain
though.
I wear plenty of watches in the water, but it really just depends. I'd say where into the sports watch spectrum the watch falls. And we're talking today about versatile summer watches.
Correct.
And for me, if it's a sporty watch, if it's a deep sea, I'm wearing it in the water. But if it's a sport watch with no screw down crown, like
That's a great point.
I start getting into that, like, do I really want to bring it into the water and take a risk?
And I think watchmakers will tell you that's kind of a good rule of thumb to go by. If it has a screw down crown and at least 100 meters water resistance, you're set.
And that was beaten into me as a child because my dad was a watchmaker. So
Yep.
it was like, yeah, no, if it wasn't a screw down crown, you did not wear that in the water. There's no chance.
We're talking about versatile sports watches here. We have lots of interesting stuff on the table. Why don't you show us some of the IWCs up front here? We can talk about those a little bit.
All right, so the Darwin bronze, very cool. I mean, funky. I like bronze. I love kind of.
I love bronze,
Again,
too.
I like it. 'cause
Super cool.
You wear it and it turns and it becomes part of you and what you do to it. I like the fact that, again, I'm not the guy who takes my watches off. I want to have some, bangs on it and get it some character. I think they did a great job with that.
For me, this was the bronze watch. When
Panerai, yeah, absolutely.
the Bronzo was the bronze watch that everybody had to have. It was one of the first Panerais that I would say truly traded at over the retail price for an extended period of time. Every iteration that came out of the
Absolutely.
watch traded it over.
Yep.
And it was probably one of the, if you asked a watch collector, hey, tell me the first bronze watch that comes to mind, this was the
Without a
watch.
doubt.
Definitely.
And it started that movement into more brands producing bronze watches. You have Oris that did it, you had IWC that did it. I think bronze watches, like there was one show where every brand had
a bronze
watch.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It also became a $30,000 watch at one point. I
Correct.
mean, it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then you said it all exactly. You had the Oris for $2,000.
Yeah.
That's kind of an awesome piece.
By the way, they are awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, to
the
me,
money,
for a
it's
summer
super
watch,
cool.
those are great watches for not a lot of cash.
And they're just going to age with you and become more your own. It's so cool.
The crustier, the better. Like I want it to be like a,
Totally.
a,
I
want the
sunken, a
green.
sunken ship.
I want it to
Literally
look like it came from the Titanic.
And that's why the Panerai, I think, works so well, because you always had that vision of these two Italian guys riding the torpedo.
exactly.
And they didn't come back. I mean, the Italian Navy was terrible. That's why these watches are so rare.
As an
You know what
Italian, I
mean?
resent that.
I'm sorry, but they were good at a lot of things. Cook me dinner, take me out. But the Navy was not their strength.
I'll never forget there was a Panerai that came. I mean, again, we're talking about I guess strong, versatile summer watches. It's probably not the best plug for Panerai, but the guy I think dropped it on his carpet, and it came back in for shock damage. And he goes like, "Listen, I get it. Impacts happen. The thing was built for the Navy. I dropped it on my carpet. Like,
it went toast.
I don't. They should probably look towards a Rolex or something in the future, but."
So speaking of Rolex, I think Rolex is one of the few brands that every single watch in their line you can pretty much take anywhere.
100%.
Every single
But it's
watch in
funny
the line.
also when you think about it, because when I started selling Rolexes at the beginning of time, as you'll say, Rolex was considered such a big watch that nobody would wear it to a black tie or a dressy thing.
Right.
I mean, it was a big sport watch. In those days, it was 36 millimeters, and it was still considered big. But if you were going to a dress event, you were wearing a 3919, or you were wearing a Cartier Tank, or a Reverso, a true dress watch, and you would never go. You'd show up in a black tie with a watch like that, and now it's totally a different world.
Yeah.
First of all, there's not nearly as many black ties.
Well,
Nobody
and what's
dresses.
happened is if you're going to invest in a nice watch, I have the conversation all the time. Somebody has a wedding coming up or whatnot, and almost the fear is that if I get something too dressy, when else am I going to wear it?
Right.
And I don't want to just get a watch that I can't wear all the time.
That's something that I feel about a lot of modern JLC. It's like some of them are really interesting, but they're very dedicated dress.
Correct.
And
Correct.
they're starting to do things like try to sport it up with
They
calf
tried
straps, but
to
it's
sport
it's
it up,
the
but it never
same
worked.
Case.
Yeah,
It's the
it never
same
worked.
Case. It does
Even
not
their
work.
sporty watches didn't really get there. They're truly great at dress. They should stick to it.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
Rolex is the one thing that they're bad at is dress. You know what I mean? In
Dude, you don't want to wear your diamond Submariner? Come on, that's awesome.
I mean,
bought one
I-
today. I was so excited. I love those.
The Cellini as their dress line is, I like the new Cellinis a lot, actually. I think they're great, but they're a little bit too big for strictly dress. They still have this air of casuality about them, in my opinion. And again, the idea of Rolex is just every single watch is kind of a tank. I mean, speaking of, summer watches, you can even look at this white gold GMT,
I
right?
love that
I
thing.
love
That watch
this
is
I
watch.
love that watch.
So, blue and red bezel, so you have a little bit of color. Red GMT, nice, really deep navy blue dial. It's so summery. This is,
But it's just got that great feel too because of the gold.
it's so
It's just
hefty.
it's exactly. I love big, heavy watches.
And one of my
that's-
favorite features of this watch and all of the GMTs in general is that there's this thought that Rolex is almost industrialized, where the watches are going to be coming out. They make the bezels one way, they make the dials one way. Like, they've changed this exact watch multiple times.
Oh my God,
Over the
yeah,
course of its
yeah.
production, they've changed the blues, they've changed the coloring of the red, they've
Of the
changed the
bezel.
color of the
Bezels,
dial.
yeah, everything about it,
so,
right.
Part of that was to early production issues too, with the bezel, which is really interesting. I
Right.
love that.
No, that's a great. I mean, to me, that's amazing summer watch.
And something so not exactly, but the same watch, a GMT-Master, totally different. This is so summery. This watch is.
I mean, you have to have short sleeves to wear
I mean,
that
that watch,
everything
you
to me.
fell asleep on a beach for 25 years and the color ended up that way.
Exactly, and yeah, and I hope my skin's the same color of this dial at some point.
Exactly. I think mine is.
Manjos says. Look at this though. I mean, this has been bleached by the sun so fiercely. It's so good.
Yeah, somebody loved that watch, and
you don't-
hopefully somebody will do it again. But to me, I should be in Santorini, in a big white building with that watch.
You
on.
just
That's
don't
valid.
think
The
of
Jubilee
vintage
bracelet.
as summery though.
Yeah.
And this is very, very summer.
But you need to.
But
have
this
a
is
fierce
another
tan.
example of a watch where, to be perfectly honest, I would not tell somebody to jump into the water in this watch.
If you get a pressure test,
I would
you
do it
totally
as
can.
well.
Really?
I would. Yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
It's a Rolex.
Yeah, but you know what
Replace
though?
the gaskets, you're golden.
They will last you a lifetime. I would wear that in the water. It'll attract sharks. How awesome would that be?
I once was in a river in Switzerland very early in the morning with my Rolex on, and I didn't worry about it once.
Was it early in the morning or technically late at
It
night?
was technically late at night after the bars had all closed.
I think it depends how old the Rolex is. And for me, you know what? That watch, it's pressure tested. There's no issue.
yeah, you're not going
When you
anywhere.
start getting into watches that are, 40 years old,
It's true, and precious metal because there's
and
a
precious
little more
metal, something
flexibility
gets
in
a
it.
little soft.
I agree with that.
You can make this water
especially that if
resistant.
you destroy the dial,
It would be over.
it's over.
The thing about that is I have a bit of a different view on some vintage things, and I like, and this is sacrilege, don't get me wrong, I like replacement parts. I like parts that look like they're new. I think, granted, this dial and handset and the nipple dial and the date wheel is everything to me.
Love that
But
thing.
I mean, just picture a Daytona that some guy's worn every day since the 60s, and he's got it serviced every 10 years, and it's still, it's probably over polished, and they replaced the dial 3 times. That's cool to me for some reason. It still has this.
It's still cool that they did it, but I still take all original all day long.
Yeah,
and
I
I'd
have
still wear it in the
definite
water. I
mixed
wouldn't
feelings,
care.
but I would definitely wear this in the water in that regard.
All right, now this is the other one that I just think is the coolest.
I love that.
It's awesome. Octa Sport, 44 millimeter in size. To me, the sports watch thing came about
great
really from
color.
2000,
It's a great color.
2017, 2018 and on. So there was a tremendous amount of pressure on brands that really weren't even focused on versatile sports watches to get into the sport watch game. You know, rhymes with schmanga. So Journe has been producing sports watches since 2011. So he was producing these pieces long before sports watches were cool, long before anybody took notice of them, and he does it his way. And I think that nobody would have said, you know, if you were to take a poll, you know, what watch dial color should I come out with?
That's my favorite part of
he's like, blue seems to do pretty good.
Let's make it yellow.
Yeah,
But it's not even a true yellow.
Black and
No,
gray
it's
do
not.
well. So let's, you know what? Forget what I know is going to sell. Let's do yellow.
Right. But it's an odd yellow.
But you know
it's
what?
Not
It's
that stark pure yellow.
pale.
But he's a Ferrari fan, and
is,
he
yeah.
did the Ferrari,
Right.
which is obviously Ferrari red.
Right.
To me, this is very much a Ferrari yellow.
I would agree with that. Right.
And-
It's not
and
your traditional watch brand yellow.
Cue the Ferrari guys coming in.
Well, you know,
Right.
but what I like about that is that if you follow cars or you follow anything else, you've subtly seen a yellow Ferrari throughout a long period of time. So you're used to the color.
Correct.
So, and I think that that's part of the reason why I love it is that,
love that thing.
it's a yellow that I'm almost used to seeing and associating with
Right, but I think
with
also
just-
think it's so. Not that it's outrageous, but it's so stark.
It's
and
outlandish.
It's so strong. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a Journe thing.
No,
And
I
now
mean-
this is one that, your
has
dad
the-
has the
this-
aluminum Senograph, but I know he
Correct.
swims with his.
It infuriates me.
I've seen him swim with
Like
it.
he just got the watch fully serviced. It had been gone, you know, for some time, and then he sends me a video of him jumping into the water with it,
And like outlining how he's
and
doing
I'm thinking like he probably set the thing 3 minutes before, did not push the crown even back in. That it's dead, right? It's you know.
But look at the joy he got from that
He
watch.
got no,
Diving
he
into the
got
pool.
tremendous joy. from
Tremendous
it.
joy.
But
I mean, as a child.
There's something about titanium and just lightness on the wrist in terms of some sports watches. Granted, that white gold GMT is an exception for sure, and this yellow gold GMT is another exception. But
Yeah, I'm going heavy.
No, it doesn't fit like a 44. And
It
I think
definitely
and I think that what's so interesting to me is that they call this a 42, don't they?
Right.
So they
Yes.
call this
Almost
a 40.
an
They
unwearable
call this a
42.
42. It's almost an unwearable 42.
this is the most wearable 44 that exists.
and that's like a 44 that fits like a 41.
Yeah.
So you know it. And that's where the millimeter size sometimes just
It
doesn't.
doesn't always matter,
doesn't
right?
always
you got to
matter.
put them on, you got to try it, you got to do it. But I mean,
Yeah,
you
it's
can wear
insane.
that watch every day. And again, the offshore, as much as I think it's cool and iconic, I've tried to wear them a million times in the last 20 years and just couldn't do it.
To touch on titanium a little bit more while we're here, the Black Bay Blue, or excuse me, the
Pelagos is
Pelagos
an
Blue,
amazing
awesome
watch.
awesome watch.
Amazing. And to me, this was a watch that had so much packed into it.
In-house movement, loomed bezel, ceramic bezel, titanium. Granted, the Tudor
This
uses
spring-loaded buckle.
spring-loaded buckle,
Right,
with-
which is a great
Yep,
feature
which
that
is
people
awesome.
don't pay attention to.
When I saw that buckle, my first thought was like, why is this not in every watch?
And not to mention that, I mean, the silicone beads in the safety clasp and everything. There's so much bang for your buck with this watch. It's amazing.
and it's a great blue.
It's a great.
It's an
blue.
awesome blue.
Only
Yeah,
3
it's a Smurf
variations.
blue.
There's
Comes
the,
with the rubber strap.
Yep, comes with the rubber strap. There's
Let
the
me see that
blue,
watch.
there's the black, and the LHD, which the LHD is super cool.
Yeah.
Tudor did this one totally right. Limited the amount of SKUs. They're not doing a ton with it. It's awesome. They put
L-
an in-house movement in it.
My only problem with the LHD
Is setting it.
is that knowing that they're numbered and that there exists ones from the very beginning
Well, I know-
makes it so that like if I got one right now, I'd be like, ugh, like what do I have to do
I
to
know
get
who
one of the
has
early
number
ones?
20. We sold like one of the first ones that we
We
sold was
did.
number 20.
We did.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did.
Which is super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a summer watch. Like, I'd be out to dinner in that
Totally,
watch for sure.
totally. I think that piece is awesome. Helium escape valve. It's 500 meter water resistance.
Right.
Again, the bang for your buck there is amazing. And on the Tudor vein, this is a fun summer watch.
I
This is
own that
yours,
watch.
isn't it?
I own that watch.
Yeah.
Exactly that setup.
There are 3 watches that they came out with at that one show, like boom, boom, boom.
So good.
Unbelievable.
Like,
2013 releases.
I think was probably one of the best brand relaunches that
Yep,
I've
ever seen.
That I've
Yeah,
ever seen.
without
or
a
been part
doubt.
of.
And I have that same watch with the matching belt.
Yeah.
That
see,
literally, my
this-
wife gets annoyed every time I try to do it.
I love that you do that. This in the gray is my personal favorite, but this is way more summery, way more sporty.
Way more summer. I love that combination.
Again, 100 meter water resistance. I mean, again, another one Tudor did really well. Heritage Chrono. I'm so
No,
good.
great values, great summer watch. Again, not really a dressy kind of thing, but you can certainly get away with a lot of it on it.
The person that matches, I'm trying to think, like the person that now matches the belt to this watch is like the same person that would like correct somebody that it's a yacht, not a boat.
Brad?
They're the same person.
Oh man,
I love it.
that's good.
Awesome.
So summer editions specifically, got to talk about Grand Seiko. 2019 release. This is the I believe this is the summer edition. Yeah, the green and gold.
It is, yes.
So this is awesome. They released 4 season watches: the winter, spring, summer, fall, obviously, with varying dial configurations. 2 spring drive, 2 high beats. Summer edition happens to be high beat, and the green and gold combo on this is awesome.
And this is the summer?
That's the summer.
I mean, you would have thought that this would have been fall.
It feels a little fall-y, doesn't it?
I mean, green
the
and
spring,
gold.
The spring is
Green and gold does
pinkish,
feel
which is good. But yeah, no, that's definitely fall feeling. But that's the summer edition.
I love what they've done with that line. I mean,
I
that
do
brand
too.
is great. The detail on it. Again, it's so simple, but if you get into the weeds on it, you just like it more every time you look
Yeah,
at it.
I mean a high beat movement, so it's 36,000 beats per
right,
hour.
right.
Yep, 5 hertz. It's amazing.
When they really came into the U.S. in a big way, you know, I think that they did everything right. You know, they didn't overexpand.
I was gonna say,
they
tight
They started
distribution.
slow, tight
Right.
distribution. They focused on the watch collector community.
Yep.
The guys on the forums that wanted a really cool, exceptionally well-made watch with good value.
Right.
It's funny because when you talk about Grand Seiko with older watch collectors, there's still that stigma of like, it's a Seiko? I don't
Correct.
get it. And
I
then,
don't get it.
But then when you explain to them everything that goes into the watch, like this is what they're doing. I also think that products made in Japan have gone through a big resurgence just in terms of the
Definitely.
quality that's
Yes.
associated with it.
Yeah, completely
It's a whole
agree.
different world
So-
now. Right. Cars did that for them. They cleared the path.
Similar
Yeah.
to Made in America.
Right, exactly. It's awesome. All right.
The new Bronco came out.
I know. I can't wait to see it.